Bravery is not about winning battles. Bravery is not about conquering nations. It's in the heart, determined to sacrifice life for the nation.
Nazi Germany had crushed dozens of European nations under its goose-stepping jackboots. Then the tide began to turn, and its forces had to retreat from Russia. The resistance groups of the countries under German occupation had become very active. In retreat, the Germans were destroying everything to stop the march of the Red Army in Czechoslovakia. Resistance forces and Nazi soldiers were battling it out. The retreating Nazis stormed into Ostrava, the industrial town of the country. The locals bravely fought against the Germans and destroyed many of their tanks. Then Red Army arrived, and it beat back Germans, who retreated to the other side of Ostravis River. The town was situated on the bank. The Red Army attack had frightened the Germans, who were already under tremendous pressure of the march of the Russians. Germans could not afford the Russians' army crossing over to their side of the river. They decided to destroy the bridge. So, mines were laid under the bridge to blow it up. The time ticked by. There was no explosion. After a while, the puzzled soldiers raised their heads and looked towards their commander. The red-faced commander was furiously pumping the charger, but nothing was happening. On the other side, as soon as the Germans had laid explosive charges and withdrawn, someone had swiftly and cleverly cut off the fuse wired so stealthily that the Germans could not get any wind of it. This dangerous mission was accomplished by a young Czech patriot named Milan Sikora. He was the youngest member of a resistance group that relentlessly fought against the Nazi Germans. This group had somehow learned about the secret plan made by the Germans to blow up Ostravis Bridge, made by the Germans. It had worried the members of the group. Without the bridge, the Russians' army would not be able to move to the other side of the river where the Germans had dug in and taken position. The only way to save the bridge was to deactivate the explosive charges that the enemy planned to put to the bridge underside. But it would be an extremely dangerous job. It was like committing suicide. Nazi soldiers were all over the places near the bridge. The Czech soldiers were in a fix. After a lot of debates and discussion, it was decided to give this dangerous mission to young Sikora. Sikora was a young man of courage, patriotism, and daredevilry. He could do anything for the sake of his country. The soldiers thought that a lean young boy had least chance of being suspected by the enemy. The leader of the group briefed Sikora on the mission, and the young man set out to the bridge with wire-cutting implements in his bulging pockets. He walked along the river towards the bridge, stealthily. Every now and then, he would look for the enemy. He reached under the bridge without getting noticed. He looked around and found no Nazi soldier was watching him. His eyes sparkled. He took out a wire cutter from his pocket and climbed up the support pillar to cut the explosive charges and the fuse wires. Swiftly, he cut as many wires as he could, keeping himself up by locking his legs around the pole. After hectic work, he looked carefully at the wires and the explosives. He knew he had done it. The charger could not set off the explosives. He got down and carefully walked away from the bridge. He still had to be very alert. Anything could happen anytime during that wartime. Sikora had gone only some distance away when a bullet came whistling from some direction and went through his back. He fell face down on the ground. A volley of bullets followed, ridding the body of the young patriot. A Nazi soldier had seen him climbing down the bridge pillar, and Nazis had attacked. After a long period of unconsciousness, the injured Sikora opened his eyes, and he saw that Russians' tanks were rolling towards the bridge, which stood intact. A smile lit up on his dying face. His sacrifices had not gone waste. The Czech resistance forces and the soldiers later retrieved the dead body of Milan's Sikora and presented a guard of honor to it. Sikora was given a hero's burial. Ostravus River still flows like before, and that bridge still spans across it. But now, its name is Milan's Sikora Bridge. On every Czech Independence Day, school children go to memorials of their freedom fighters with red scarves tied to their shirts to offer the flowers. The bridge is also a national memorial in the name of Sikora.